Former President Barack Obama is defending his signature domestic legislative achievement after a federal judge in Texas ruled Friday the Affordable Care Act is unconstitutional. After President Trump signed the tax overhaul bill into law last December, the tax penalty or individual mandate for anyone who does not have insurance went away. Because of that, a group of Republican attorneys general filed a lawsuit arguing that without that tax, the entire law cannot be enforced. A judge in Texas agreed. In a Facebook post Saturday, Mr. Obama said the ruling, quote, changes nothing for now, and blamed the decision on politics, adding, quote, Republicans will never stop trying to undo Obamacare. Meanwhile, the current president praised the ruling, tweeting he predicted the move all along. President Trump went on to urge Congress to pass a new health care law. Our check on the Sunday morning show starts with reaction to the decision on Capitol Hill.
Okay, well, first, Chuck, it's an awful ruling. It goes, of course, it undoes pre-existing conditions. It jeopardizes the tens of millions who are getting good health care in the exchange, but it goes way beyond that.
Republican attorneys general who brought this lawsuit didn't do the Republican Party any favor. These Republican attorneys general have set out to abolish this law and to end the protection for people with a medical history. And now this issue is alive and well again. The Republicans have no alternative to the Affordable Care Act.
This will be overturned on appeal.
You do?
I do.
In the Supreme Court or in the Fifth Circuit, or where do you think it's?
I'm not sure where it will occur, but there's no reason why the individual mandate provision can't be struck down and keep all of the good provisions of the Affordable Care Act.
And how do you reassure those Americans that they're okay?
Well, obviously, there's no change immediately in Obamacare. There hasn't been a nationwide injunction. Obamacare was ruled to be unconstitutional. We've always known that Obamacare was unconstitutional. The more important question is whether Democrats are going to work with Republicans once Obamacare is ultimately struck down, which we believe it will be, to come up with a replacement plan that protects pre-existing conditions.
Julia Manchester joins me now from Washington. She's a reporter for The Hill. Julia, good to have you with us. The former president says that the ruling changes nothing for now. What impact does this actually have?
For now, it doesn't change anything logistically with the law. You know, we're going to probably see this, legal challenges go back and forth with this. However, in terms of the political impact, we're going to see that Democrats on Capitol Hill are going to defend this strongly, and this is going to become a major priority for them. We've seen that immigration and oversight on the Trump administration have been two priorities that Democrats in the House and the Senate have said that they will, especially in the House, they will look into in the new Congress. However, this has just become a new priority for Democrats on Capitol Hill. But, I think Susan Collins' comments are actually very interesting, saying it's not going to get overturned, because it doesn't, in her view, it doesn't make sense to just essentially go after one part of the law and make it seem like the entire part of the law doesn't work because of that one portion of the law, the individual mandate. So I think a lot of Republicans are going to be a little concerned about making a change on this because they failed multiple times to repeal Obamacare. So it's going to be a political risk for them. And if they fail again, that's not going to make them look great to their constituents.
Well, given that then, Julia, what happens next, you think, in the legal proceedings?
I think we're going to see a lot of back and forth on this, depending on which court it goes to next. We'll see potential challenges from those opposing this rule. I've heard some talk about, I guess, hypotheticals of what happens if it eventually goes to the Supreme Court. Obviously, that we now have a conservative-leaning Supreme Court, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out and how Kavanaugh and Gorsuch will rule on this if it gets to the Supreme Court. So a lot to look out for.
Well, so Democrats will control the House in the new year. Do you foresee then health care becoming another major battle?
I absolutely think it will be another major battle, and we're going to see them really pushing back on the president's rhetoric on all of this. And we might even see Republicans in the House who have proven to be a lot more conservative, a lot more, I guess, willing to take a risk on the issue, push for that repeal. In the Senate, and I think Susan Collins kind of shows that they're going to be a little bit more cautious on that issue because we've seen that Republicans on this issue and in many issues tend to be a bit more moderate, tend to be a bit more willing to work with the other side in the upper chamber. But the House, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.